Alright everyone, this is ZeroBudgetGeek and welcome to my review of the newly released Aether Revolt on Steam. It's released for pretty much all the platforms already, but I am taking a look at the Steam version because that's the one I've played. So we've already gone ahead and unlocked all of the new cards, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all the cards, and I'm doing this kind of blind. I've not looked at the cards before. I've not really looked at spoilers, so I don't know what's been added to the set, what's missing from the paper version of the game. So I'm just going by what I see here. And in past videos when I do a review, usually I went one video for each color, but I think this time we're just gonna kind of go through all of them in one video. Now it's gonna be kind of a long video, but it should be about the same length as my regular Friday night Magic Duels. So we've selected, or we are selecting now, the Aether Revolt cards, and we're just gonna start right from the beginning and then just go down the line. So here we have Aerial Modification, 1 white and 4 colorless. It is an aura enchantment. It is an uncommon. You enchant a creature or vehicle. As long as enchanted permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other types. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying. So you really only want to use this on your vehicles, because you put it on a creature, all it's gonna do is gonna give it well, it works either way. It's just if you put on a vehicle, it makes your vehicle always a creature, which is kind of a drawback. But it can give it +2/+2 and flying. I don't know, seems expensive for something that's not super necessary, as the vehicles seem to be pretty strong enough in power toughness already. Alright, we have the Aeronaut Admiral. It's 1 white and 3 colorless. It is a uncommon human pilot creature. It's a 3/1 for 4 mana, which is not that great. He's flying, and vehicles you control have flying. That's pretty good, giving your vehicle some kind of evasion, but it's pretty expensive for that, so I'm not that sold on it. Now, by the way, as I'm going through these cards, some of them I'm gonna think are really awesome, and some of them I'm gonna think are crap. And if you agree or disagree, please go down in the comment section and let me know why, because I'm not like an expert in all the single cards. Like, there's some cards that I may undervalue at first and then not realize the potential. Maybe you can enlighten me. Here we have the Aether Inspector, 1 white, 3 colorless. It's a 2/3 for 4 mana, which is not great, but it does have vigilance, which is nice. When Aether Inspector enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy, and whenever Aether Inspector attacks, you may pay 2 if you do create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So that's a lot of abilities just for 4 mana, so it seems to be costed fairly. Could be really good in energy decks, decks that use artifacts. The fact that it creates artifact tokens is significant in this set because of one of the mechanics that we're gonna see in a little bit. So this guy is potentially good, although I think he's kind of expensive. I think there's some good utility to him, possibly, at least within this set. Airdrop Aeronauts, 2 white and 3 colorless. That's a lot of mana for a 4/3 uncommon dwarf scout, and it is flying, so 5 mana for flying 4/3 is not super great, but it has Revolt. When Airdrop Aeronauts enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, you gain 5 life. Well, life gaining isn't always super great. You want to be, most of the time you want to eliminate your opponent's life, not be gaining life, though this could be good. And 5 life is a nice swing. And remember, Revolt triggers regardless how the permanent left the battlefield, whether it was killed, exiled, returned to hand, or anything like that. So this could be useful, though I think it's kind of expensive for just a 4/3 flyer. We have Alley Evasion, 1 white. It's an instant. It's a common. Choose 1. Target creature you control gets +1/+2 until end of turn. Return target creature you control to its owner's hand. So a cheap combat trick. I guess it's useful because it's an instant and it's only 1. It's kind of useful, but I don't know that we will be seeing this in many decks. I think most of the time people probably rather use some kind of flicker effect, and it's only until end of turn, so it's just a neat combat trick, but not a super great one, I think. Audacious Infiltrator. It's a 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a common dwarf rogue. It's a 3/1. Audacious Infiltrator can't be blocked by artifact creatures. Nah, that's okay. I mean, well, 2 mana for 3/1 is good. And the fact that it can't be blocked by artifact creatures like the little servos and all that means he's a little bit harder to block. But most thing, just about anything can block him and kill him. That's not a artifact, so he's just okay. But although you get this guy early and your opponent doesn't have an answer, he can put some good hurting on him. We have a Bastion Enforcer, 1 white, 2 colorless, a common dwarf soldier, but it's a 3/2 for 3 mana, which is not bad in white. That's not bad at all, I'd have to say. Kind of offensive card. That we have Call for Unity, 2 white, 3 colorless. It's a rare enchantment. Revolt. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, put a Unity counter on call for Unity. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Unity counter on call for Unity. Well, that's quite powerful. Understandably why it's so expensive. Basically, anytime one of your permanents leave the battlefield, your creatures are gonna get +1/+1 essentially permanently, as long as this is in place. So that's pretty good, and this is gonna keep growing bigger and bigger. So this is quite a powerful card, though kind of expensive. Caught in the Bright, 1 white, 2 colors. It's an enchantment or enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block. When a vehicle you control attacks, exile enchanted creature. So nerfs a guy for a little while, and then when you attack, when a vehicle you control attacks, it dies. So so this is kind of useful even if you don't have a vehicle yet. But as soon as you get a vehicle and able to attack with it, it'll get rid of it. So yeah, interesting card there. Not super awesome, but it's great. Conviction, 1 white, 1 colorless, and aura enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+3, and you can return conviction to its owner's hand by paying 1 white. That's okay. The defense boost is kind of nice. Generally, I like to see a little bit better on the offense, but the fact that you can return this to its owner's hand is kind of nice, and it's a cheap card. It's just okay. Although this is a permanent, right, that you can return to your hand, which can trigger revolt. So in this set, this could be quite good, actually, now that we think about it. Alright, Countless Gears Renegade, 1 white, 1 colorless, a common dwarf artificer. It's a 2/2 for 2 mana, which is not bad at all, and he has revolt. When Countless Gears Renegade enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So 2 mana for 2/2 is not bad, and it has a great ability. It's just good. It's good. What can you say about that? You gain something every time one of your things leaves. Paired with something like Conviction, could be pretty good. Is he a common? It's just a common creature. Alright, we have the Dawn Feather Eagle, 1 white and 4 colors for a 3/3 bird. It's flying. When Dawn Feather Eagle enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. So while not quite a powerful creature by itself, the fact that you can give all your guys +1/+1 and vigilance could be a nice game changer. But you need it at the right moment, and 5 mana is kind of high for that. I'd rather have the Call for Unity. So I'm just kind of okay on that card. No wonder it's a common. The Deadeye Harpooner, 1 white, 2 colorless. It's a uncommon dwarf warrior. It's a 2/2 for 3 mana, which is not that good. When Deadeye Harpooner enters the battlefield, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, destroy target tapped creature and opponent controls. So that could be quite powerful, and really that's all you want to use this guy, because a 2/2 for 3 mana isn't that great, but getting the use of that revolt is quite good. Okay, we have Deft Dismissal, 1 white, 3 colors. It's a uncommon instant. Deft Dismissal deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 target attacking or blocking creatures. Now this is a nice spell, nice damage that you can split up I like it a lot, except I don't like the cost. Although, you know, having it at 3 mana would make it too good and make it kind of out of color. So it's kind of a nice card for white, although I'm just not crazy about the cost, because by the time you need it, like you may need this by turn 3, well, maybe turn 4, so maybe it works out good. It's an interesting spell though. I am liking it. I'd like to see try that out and see how it plays. We have an Exquisite Archangel, 2 white and 5 colorless. It's a mythic angel. It's a 5/5. It's flying. If you would lose the game, instead exile the Exquisite Archangel and your life total becomes equal to your starting life total. So this makes it that if your opponent wants to kill you, they need to kill this first, which killing creatures isn't that hard. It does not have any kind of protection built into it, so there's plenty of exile effects that could, you know, get rid of this. So not super great, although if you're playing, you know, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting card. It's just it's very expensive and it doesn't protect itself. Though if you could put this in play and find a way to protect it, it could be quite powerful indeed. All right, we have the Girapper Osprey, 1 white, 2 colorless, a 2/2 flyer. Meh, just pass. I mean, its flying is kind of nice. I mean, it's a fair cost, but it's just not a super great creature. Alright, Solemn Recruit, 2 white, 1 colorless. It's a rare dwarf warrior. It's a 2/2 with double strike, which is really nice for just 3 mana. So that's good. And it has Revolt at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Solemn Recruit. So this guy can get bigger. She is awesome. This is a great card. No wonder it's a rare. Even if you don't get the Revolt, a 2/2 double striker is still pretty good. And then even if you only get the Revolt once, it becomes a 3/3 double striker. That's dangerous. Alright, SRAM's Expertise, 2 white, 2 colorless, a rare sorcery. Create 3 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature tokens. You may cast a card with a converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you get 3 creatures and essentially a free spell. For only 4 mana, this could be very, very good. So yeah, and the card you cast can be a creature, can be whatever. So I like this card. You basically cast one of your spells with a bonus, so pretty neat. And then here we have SRAM, the Senior Edificer, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a legendary dwarf revives. He's a rare. He's a 2/2. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. Well, that's really good because he's gonna hit the field probably before you cast any of those other stuff, and we've seen some cheap auras already, so this guy could be quite powerful indeed, especially paired with his expertise there. So yeah, pretty cool. Alright, Thopter Arrest, 1 white, 2 colorless. It's a uncommon enchantment. When Thopter Arrest enters the battlefield, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls until Thopter Arrest leaves the battlefield. So essentially it's a temporary solution to something, but though, you know, enchantments tend to be kind of hard to get rid of, you know, for the most part it's gonna be it's gonna do what it needs to do is get rid of a threat or something that you don't want. So, you know, another good way for white to have, you know, just get rid of something. It's maybe just temporarily, but it's still pretty good. I do like this card quite a bit. I could see it making the rounds. We have an Aether Whale, 2 blue, 4 colorless. It's a rare creature whale. It's a 6/4 flying, which is it's kind of just okay in blue. But when Weathertide Whale enters the battlefield, you get 6 energy counters, and you pay 4 to return Aether Whale to its owner's hand. So it has its own sort of evasion. Well, it has evasion with the flying, and then it can dodge, you know, some kill effects. So this guy could be pretty powerful, especially in a deck that creates lots of energy tokens. Seems to be worth the cost. I'd like to see, see some use out of this guy. We have an Aether Swooper, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a Vidalcan Artificer. It's a common 1/2, 1/2 flying for 2 mana. Is not terrible. When he enters the battlefield, get 2 energy counters, and when he attacks, you may pay 2 energy counters. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless silver artifact creature token. So this guy has a lot of value. This guy has a lot of value for his cost. Now, you got to build him into the right deck. You need a deck that uses energies and a deck that has a reason for having artifacts or creatures or things like that. With the revolt mechanic, having 1/1s that you can sacrifice or whatever can be relevant. So I see a lot of value to this guy. There's some versatility here, I guess I should say. You essentially get a lot for just 2 mana, which is pretty good. We have Baral's Expertise, 2 blue, 3 colorless. It's a rare sorcery. Return up to 3 target artifacts and or creatures to their owner's hands. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So this could be quite interesting. Use this against your opponent to get rid of maybe a bunch of tokens, and you still get a free card, and it costs a mana cost of 4 or less is not insignificant. So I think this could be really good, and there may be reasons why you may want to return your own artifacts in order to trigger revolt, or be able to recast something that's gonna get an effect when it comes into play. So a lot of I could see some potential in this. Obviously it needs it's kind of a specialty card for a special deck. You don't throw it in every deck, but I like what I'm seeing there. Baral's Expertise. And then we have Baral, the Chief of Compliance. 1 blue, 1 colorless for a 1/3 legendary rare. So 2 mana for a 1/3 is not bad at all. That's just nice right there. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, which is even better. And then whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. So that's not bad. You get a free loot every time you counter a spell. So I like this guy, very nice. He is a legendary, so you're not gonna have a ton of these. Well, you can only have 1 in play. You're not gonna have a bunch in your deck, but you can only have 2 anyway in your deck. So very good card overall in a counter control deck. I definitely want to see use of him. Alright, Bastion Inventor, 1 blue, 5 colorless. It's a common Vidalcan Artificer. It's a 4/4 for 6 mana, which is not great, but he has Improvise. And there's a new mechanic. Your artifacts can help cast a spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana abilities pays for 1 colorless. And he is hexproof. Yee, now that makes it better. So all those little servo tokens that you create and all that, you can tap those guys to help pay for his cost. So you can potentially get a cheap 4/4 with hexproof. I mean, I can see this guy hitting the field, as early as like turn 3. Yeah, like turn 3 or 4, or 4/4 hexproof. Even by turn 4 is not bad at all. So I can see this guy getting some use. Obviously you need a deck built around him, but it is interesting at least. Efficient Construction, 1 blue, 3 colorless, a uncommon enchantment. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 color stop the artifact creature token with flying. So more Thopters support. I like this card a lot. It's not super great, but in a deck, a specialty Thopter deck, this could probably be really great. So I'd be anxious to see some deck builds around this. In the right deck, I think it could be quite powerful. Create a bunch of those tokens. Hinterland Drake, 1 blue, 2 colorless, a 2/3 flyer hinter, and it can't black. It can't block artifact creatures. A 2/3 flyer for 3 mana is fine. It's a good cost. It's just not a super great creature. For that mana, I generally want to play something else. But in blue, this could be good. It's a good defender. It's a good early game defender, I guess. but it's nothing to, you know, go crazy about. We have Ice Over, 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's an aura enchantment, enchant artifact or creature. Enchant permanent doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So this is a nice blue card for stopping your opponent's creatures. However, it has the same drawback that similar cards like it have had in the past, is that it doesn't tap the creature you're targeting. So that creature is probably gonna get at least 1 attack on you, or be able to attack activate its ability once, you know, before you get to really make use of this. So it's not that good. Its saving grace is that it is cheap at 2 mana, so I could see this getting some play, but you know, it does have a drawback. A pretty big drawback, I think. Leave in the Dust, 1 blue, 3 colors, a common instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Draw a card. This seems like it's just too expensive for its effect. I don't want to be holding up 4 mana just for this. I mean, you do get to draw a card, so you're spending a card, it's replacing itself, and then your opponent temporarily loses a card, or you can use that on one of your things. I mean, there is some versatility to this, but I'm not that crazy about it. You know, especially in blue, you know, 4 mana is a lot to be keeping open at times. Mechanized Production, 2 blue, 2 colorless, a mythic rare aura. Enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. Alright, well, let's forget about the winning the game part, which could be relevant, but I mean, if you put it on an artifact that you can have multiple copies of and that you can play some more, you can theoretically get to the win condition faster. But let's forget about that. The ability to create a token that's a copy of the enchanted artifact can be quite powerful. I can't think off the top of my head what artifacts you want to do, other than maybe, well, how about putting this on a smuggler's copter and start creating copters every upkeep. You won't be able to attack with them right away, but could be quite interesting. It's a reason why it's a mythic rare. I'd like to see this in play, but has some devastating potential. Metallic Rebuke, 1 blue, 2 colorless, a common instant, and it has Improvise. Your artifacts can help pay for it by tapping. Counter target spell and lets its controller pays 3 mana. I mean, even if you don't use the Improvise, it's kind of okay. The fact that you can improvise makes it a little bit better. I mean, you're most likely gonna have servos and thopters in play, so it should be easy to cast this. So essentially, you could kind of count this as a 1 blue to counter spell unless they pay 3. So this could be relevant, but then it loses utility later in the game. So it's kind of just okay in my book. Reverse Engineer. I mean, let's back up for a second. For 3 mana, there's plenty of better counter spells, although they rely usually on 2 blue. I kind of rather go with those than this. Alright, Reverse Engineer, 2 blue, 3 hold on, before we do want to go back a minute. The one great thing about this card is it will make your opponents now consider, if you're facing an opponent that has 1 blue mana open, you do have to consider this card before you play a spell, and if they have some artifact creatures in play, because this could come out. So this does bring the possibility of being able to counter with just only 1 mana open, which is significant, so let's not discount that. Alright, now moving on. Reverse Engineer, 2 blue, 3 colors. It's an uncommon sorcery. It does have Improvise. Your artifacts can help cast it, so it could be up to 2 blue to draw 3 cards. This could be really good. There's a reason why it's a sorcery, because you gotta kind of spend it on your turn, but drawing 3 cards can be really good. I just don't know if the sorcery is really worth it. For the most part, I probably would rather have something like what's the card? Is Inspiration, Inspire Genius, whatever. The 4 mana. There's a 4 mana instant that lets you draw 2 cards. with a scry. I'd rather use that than this reverse engineer, although this could be useful. I'm just not sure it's all cracked up. That, you know, I probably would rather use an instant. Shielded Aether Thief. 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a 0/4 with flash. So you can bring them in, you know, during your opponent's turn. Whenever Shielded Aether Thief blocks, you get an 8 energy counter, and then you pay 3 energy counters and tap them and you draw a card. So this is interesting. This is you play this guy as a surprise blocker, which is nice. You get an energy counter for blocking. He's probably only going to get to block once because your opponent is really probably not going to attack into him after that. But in an energy deck, this could maybe draw you a card here and there. It is kind of a lot of energy to draw a card, but this is interesting. Though, ignoring the energy stuff, I still like a 0/4 for 2 mana with flash. I like that portion of it, even without the energy stuff. It's a good defender for control decks, and the ability to be able to draw some cards. This is good for control decks. I do really like this card. I think you're gonna see this getting some play. We have the Shipwreck Moray, 1 blue, 3 colorless. It's a common fish creature. It's a 0/5. When it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy counters and you pay 1 energy counter, and Shipwreck Moray gets +2, -2 until end of turn. So you could make this 1 usage will make it a 2/3, or you can make it a 4/1. So it could hit kind of hard, or just be an okay defender. Yeah, it's just okay. It's not super great. There's probably better things we want to use our energy on. Shipwreck Plunderer, 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a human pirate. It's a 2/1 flyer for 2 mana, which is pretty good. When Skyship Plunderer deals combat damage to a player, for each kind of counter on target permanent or player, give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. For each kind of counter on target permanent or player, give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. Now, hold on. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this right. When it deals combat damage to a player, so I hit my opponent, for each kind of counter on target permanent or okay, so when you hit your opponent, you're going to choose a permanent or a player, and then that permanent or player will gain another counter of whatever they have already. So this could be very, very powerful. Even ignoring that, a 2/1 flyer for 2 mana is still very good. So overall, a very good card. No wonder it's a uncommon, but you can have 3 of these, and I can see this going crazy in decks with counters. You know, pairing it with green with creatures that have counters on them, this could go crazy. This is a very good card. I think keep an eye on that. Take into custody, 1 blue instant. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Meh. It's alright. It's a 1-turn solution to a creature. It doesn't replace itself. I don't think this is a good card. It's just okay. Trophy Mage, 1 blue, 2 colorless, an uncommon human wizard. It's a 2/2 for 3 mana, which is when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 3, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. So, a 2/2 for 3 mana, and it replaces itself. Is not too terrible. It's just once it's in play, it's not going to do much, but you can get a, you know, good artifact, such as like a Smuggler's Copter. You know, play this guy, call up a Smuggler's Copter, and then you can use this to pilot the Smuggler's Copter. So this could be interesting. I do like this card. I like that it gives you a 2/2 body and it replaces itself, and the fact that it's a search can be quite relevant. Alright, War of Invention, 3 blue and X. It's a rare instant, so this is already interesting. I'm not even look down here. I'm just looking at this. I'm seeing some potential here. Improvise, so this X can be paid by just tapping your artifacts, and then search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This is quite a good card. I think you're gonna see this getting some play. You know, you can use this to get something like the, you know, some of the big vehicles, the skyship. This is a pretty powerful card. The fact that it's an instant is what really kicks it up, because you do all of this stuff that normally would leave you in trouble, tapping out your creatures, which leaves you vulnerable. As an instant, you do it at the end of your opponent's combat step, or at the end of your opponent's turn. You search up, see a vehicle, what puts it into play, so then when your turn comes up, that vehicle will then be able to attack. This is a good card. I like this a lot. Windkin Raiders, 2 blue, 4 colorless. It's a 4/3 flyer, which is bad, but it has improvise, so you can get this into play sooner. But I don't know, unless you can get this for like 3 mana or 4 mana very early in the game, then it's not that great. But you know, it could be okay, but I'm not super sold on it. All right, we're into black now. The Aether Poisoner, 1 black, 1 colorless, a 1/1 with Death Touch, which is not bad at all. When Aether Poisoner enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy, and then when Aether Poisoner attacks, you may pay 2 energy if you do create a colorless servo artifact creature token. So I like this guy a lot. 2 mana. Now it's only a 1/1, but his Death Touch means he can block things much bigger than him, or attack into bigger creatures that your opponent is probably not going to want to block. Now your opponent may not worry about blocking him because he's only going to do 1 damage, but when he attacks, you do get to create servos, which in this set are going to be very relevant. So I think at least in this set, in this block, this guy is quite useful. Alright, we have an Alley Strangler, 1 black, 2 colorless. It's a common Aetherborn Rogue. It's a 2/3 with Menace. It's not bad. Not bad. A 2/3 with Menace is pretty good. I mean, if you're behind, it's an okay blocker fairly early in the game, and then its Menace means you can go on the offense with him. And as we've seen, Menace can be quite a useful thing. So I like this guy. I think he can hit the play quickly enough to be a problem for your opponent. Battle at the Bridge. Now, it's not super great, but you know, it is kind of interesting. Although for that mana cost, there might be better things you may want to play. Alright, we have Battle at the Bridge, 1 black and X. It's a rare sorcery. It has improvise, so we can pay X by tapping artifacts, and target creature gets -X until end of turn, and you gain X life. So yeah, this is quite powerful. Even if you don't get to use the improvise, it's a drain life. That's all it is. It's essentially what it is, a drain life. It is a sorcery, which makes its usefulness a little bit not so good, but I like the fact that you get the double whammy of usually killing a creature and gaining life. So overall, I think this is a good spell. I think you're going to see this hitting some play, especially with all the artifacts that are going to be around. We have Daring Demolition, 2 black, 2 colors. It's a sorcery, destroy target creature or vehicle. 4 mana to outright kill something is not that great. We've got murder. Like, murder is better than this. The fact that, well, target creature or vehicle, no, you just rather use murder. Murder is an instant, costs 1 less, and can target vehicles. They just have to turn into a creature first. So I'm not that great on this. I would rather just use murder. So pass on that. If you think it's better, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's that great. Let me know what you think about that one. Defiant Salvager, 1 black, 2 colorless. It's an Aetherborn Artificer. It's a 2/2 common. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. Put a +1/+1 counter on Defiant Salvager. Activate this ability anytime you could cast a sorcery. Now, by itself is not that great. The fact that you have the revolt mechanic around makes this much better, and the sacrifice doesn't have any cost to it other than just the creature you sacrifice. So I think this guy could become quite powerful, but not super great. But tied in with the revolt mechanic could be very good. So I'd like to see some decks build around that. You need a specialty deck for him, I think. Fatal Push. You know what? Going back a second, I think you can see this in some of those what do they call those aristocrat decks that specialize in sacrificing creatures to make the other ones bigger. So there you go. Aristocrat, you got a new weapon here. Alright, Fatal Push. 1 black, instant, destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. And then it has Revolt, destroy that creature if it has converted mana cost 4 or less. Instead, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. Yeah, it's just okay. It's an uncommon. I'm not too crazy about using it for the 2 creature. Something of 4 or less is interesting, but you do gotta lose something to get that. So that means it's kind of a 2-for-1. You gotta lose something plus play this in order to kill one thing. So I'm not that keen on it, but it could be good, but I don't know. I kind of would rather pay the extra mana and just outright kill something. But you know, this could be a good early game. I mean, control decks that use black could possibly use this because of its cheap cost. Fenhauler, 1 black, 6 colorless. It's a 5/5 with improvise, and it can't be blocked by artifact creatures. So there's a kind of a limited form of fear. A 5/5 improvise is just okay. Well, if you can pay this for 4 mana, tapping 2 artifacts, a 5/5 is not bad, but it's not super great either. It's just there's a possibility you can get this early in the game, which could be relevant. Alright, 4th Bridge Prowler. I think I've heard about this card. It's a 1 black, a 1/1 common human rogue. When 4th Bridge Prowler enters the battlefield, you may have target creature get -1/-1 until end of turn. So we've had something like this in the elf. Didn't we have an elf creature almost exactly like this? But this one is a human, which could be relevant, but it's just okay. I'm not super. Although you can use this to kill one of your creatures to trigger Revolt, so that could be quite useful. So there may be some options with this guy. Gifted Aetherborn. It's 2 black. It's an Aetherborn vampire. 2 black for a 2/3 with Death Touch and Lifelink. Ooh, I like this guy. He is expensive with the 2 black, but a 2/3 Death Touch and Lifelink is quite good early in the game. Later in the game, the Death Touch becomes much more relevant. So I do like this guy, and he is a vampire. Let us not forget that. So that also makes him available to get some of the vampire bonuses. We have a Glint Sleeve Siphoner. It's a 1 black, 1 colorless, a rare human rogue with menace. It's a 2/1 with menace, so that's good by itself. When Glint Sleeve Siphoner enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy counter. That's good. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 2 energy if you do draw a card and you lose 1 life. This guy is quite good, or she's quite good. I think that's a female. She's quite good. I like her. I want to play that. I like it. Gonti's Machinations. 1 black. It's a uncommon enchantment. Whenever you lose life for the first time each turn, you get an energy. Pay 2 energy, sacrifice Gonti's Machinations. Each opponent loses 3 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So the second part's not super relevant. Gaining 3 life is just okay. Although this could probably be good in a 2-headed giant game. Do 2-headed giants share their life totals or what? I don't know. But I do like the every time you lose a life, or the first time you lose it, you get energy, which works with something like this guy. So yeah, I think this could be an interesting card if you build around it. Herald of Anguish. 2 black, 5 colorless, a mythic rare demon. It's a 5/5 with improvise. It has flying, and at the beginning of your end step, each opponent only discards a card, and then pay a black and 1 sacrifice an artifact. Target creature gets -2/-2 on the end of turn. So this guy is a beast. So let's say you improvise for just 2. That makes him a what is that? 5 cost 5/5, which is fair, which is flying. Plus, it makes your opponent discard a card at the end of their turn, which, oh man, I like this guy a lot. This is good. And there's no wonder this guy's a mythic rare. And then, you know, they sacrifice an artifact to make something smaller, which you can repeat, and the sacrifice an artifact can trigger revolt. This guy is quite good. I think you're gonna see many uses of him. The Night Market Aeronaut, 1 black, 3 colorless. It's a 2/2 common flying creature with revolt. It enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. So it can be possibly a 3/3 for 4 mana, which is just okay. A flying 3/3, meh. Pass. Better things I think I want to play. Renegade's Getaway, 1 black, 2 colors. It's a common instant. Target permanent gains indestructible until end of turn. Create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So, it's kind of okay. I mean, you can save something and get a little creature. I don't know. I think paired with certain cards, this could be really good. By itself, I'm not super excited by it. Resourceful Return, 1 black, 1 colorless. A common sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If you control an artifact, draw a card. It's cheap cost, makes it very good, and you want to make sure you have the artifact to get the value. So you play this and you're getting 2 cards. You're getting a creature back and drawing a card. What's not to like there? It is a sorcery, but it's cheap. I like it. I think it's a good, useful card, especially in this set. Sly Requisitioner, 1 black, 4 colorless. A uncommon human artificer. It's just a 2/2. It has improvise. And then whenever a non-token artifact you control is put into graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. So a non-token gets destroyed. You make a 1/1 artifact creature, which could be useful. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the cost. I don't know. I'm not crazy about this card. There's probably some specific uses for it, but on its surface, I'm not wowed by it. Vengeful Rebel, 1 black, 2 colorless. It's a uncommon Aetherborn Warrior. It's a 3/2 with revolt. When he enters the battlefield, if you lost something that turn, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. So you want to hold on to this until you can make use of the revolt, because a 3/2 for 3 mana is just fair. It's fine, but getting the revolt is really good. If you can get the revolt on this, then that makes this quite a useful card. So a 3/2 creature bundle with a possible creature kill is pretty good. I do like this card. Yahenni's Expertise, 2 black, 2 colorless. It's a rare sorcery. All creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the first part makes it strictly worse than Languish. However, after you languish everything away, if I'm understanding this correctly, you do this first, resolve that, and then you may cast a card with a converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand. So you get a creature immediately after that, which may have something that comes into place. So this could be pretty useful. I mean, I always like to see another sweeper. A -3/-3 in a sweep effect is not bad at all. The fact that you get a free card in it with it is pretty nice. So I like this card. Alright, Yahenni Undying Partisan. It's 1 black, 2 colorless. It's a legendary rare vampire. It's a 2/2 with haste, which could be relevant. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and then sacrifice another creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, so you need to kill their creatures. So you can't, it's a little bit harder to trigger this. Yeah, I'm just okay with this. Although its indestructibility can be quite useful. It's going to take a while before you build it up, but we've seen cards that can double counters on creatures, so this could potentially be really good in the right deck. We're into red. Aether Chaser, 1 red, 1 colorless. It's a human artificer, 2/1 first striker, which is not bad for 2 mana. He gives you 2 energy when he enters the battlefield, and when he attacks, you may pay 2 to create a 1/1 colorless silver artifact creature token. So a 2/1 first striker is not bad at all. That gives you energy and you can do something with that energy. No real downsides to this card. It can be used even in a non-energy deck, so it's just useful. It's good. Alright, Chandra's Revolution. 1 red, 3 colorless, a common sorcery, which I think the art is kind of terrible on there. Chandra's Revolution deals 4 damage to target creature. Tap target land. That land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So that could be relevant. You're getting 4 damage for 4 mana, and tapping down a land is quite good. I think you could really add this to a land destruction deck, and I think that's where this belongs. So in that kind of deck, I think this could be really good. Outside of it, not so much. I think there's better stuff we want to do with that mana. Alright, Destructive Tampering. 1 red, 2 colorless, a common sorcery. Choose 1, destroy target artifact or creatures without flying can't block this turn. I kind of pass on this. There's probably better things I want to do for that mana. Emerald Gear Smasher. 1 red, 2 colorless. It's a 2/3. Sacrifice an artifact. It deals 2 damage to each opponent. Meh. It's just direct damage to your opponent, which is not super relevant. I'd rather target my opponent's creatures with direct damage and then smash face with my creatures. That's what I'd rather do. So I'm not super enthused by that card. Although, let's back up a second. The fact that you sacrifice an artifact can work good revolt, so a deck built around this could be useful. But again, specialty deck. Enraged Giant. 1 red, 5 colorless. It's a 4/4 with improvise. It has trample and haste. Okay, the haste makes it quite nice. The fact that you can tap stuff to get it out is pretty interesting, but not super great. It's only a 4/4, you know, after all. So most times I'd see this probably coming in to play as a 4-cost creature with trample haste. It's alright. Alright, the Free Jam Regent. 2 red, 4 colorless. It's a rare dragon. It's a 4/4 with improvise. So you can get this into play much quicker. It has flying, and you can pay a red and a colorless to give it +2 attack until end of turn. Not super great, but it could be a pretty good creature. So, you know, you need a lot of artifacts for it to be really worth it, though. Alright, the Frontline Rebel. 1 red, 2 colorless. It's a common human warrior creature. When it attacks each combat if able, but it is a 3 mana creature for 3 3/3 creature for 3 mana. Not too terrible, but again, at that cost there might be better things we want to play. Like Hungry Flames. 1 red, 2 colors. Hungry Flames deals 3 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. It's an instant. What you don't like about this? I like it. 3 damage is fair for 3 mana. It's an instant speed, which is very useful, and you get to hit your opponent, so not bad at all. I think this will make the rounds in some burn decks. Invigorated Rampage. 1 red, 1 colorless. Choose 1. Target creature gets +4 attack and gains trample until end of turn, or 2 target creatures each get +2/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. I don't know. It's just okay. This kind of stuff, well, in a aggro deck, I think this could be very, very useful. So there's that. The trample could be relevant. Yeah, in a good aggro deck, I think this could be very useful. Outside of that, not so much. Carry Zev's Expertise. 2 red, 1 colorless. It's a rare sorcery. Gain control of target creature or vehicle until end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste until end of turn. You may cast a card with a converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you can steal one of your opponent's vehicles rather, and then play something, and then use that thing you played to crew that stolen vehicle, and then attack them back with it. So I like this card. What's not to like? It's good. You get several things out of it. Carry Zev, the Skyship Raider. 1 red, 1 colorless. It's a legendary rare human pirate. It's a 1/3. First strike and menace. The first strike is not super great on it, but the menace is quite used to. When she attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragavan that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at end of combat. That's great. I like this guy. It has menace. It makes a creature that you're gonna attack with. It has first strike. So they're probably gonna wanna, well, they may not want to block this. They may want to block the legendary creature, but you're gonna lose that creature end of turn, and the exile that token at end of combat will trigger revolt. So this could potentially be a very, very good card in a revolt deck. Definitely want to see that played. Pia's Revolution. 1 red, 2 colorless, a rare enchantment. Whenever a non-token artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to your hand unless target opponent has Pia's Revolution, deal 3 damage to him or her. What is this? It's one of those bully cards. This is useful, especially if you have reasons to sacrifice some of your artifacts. Especially artifacts that have a sacrifice as a cost. This could be really, really devastating. This could go well with what's the oh god, I can't remember cards right now. The stupid little 2 mana artifact that you play, you draw a card and then you can sacrifice it to make your opponent not be able to block or attack. You know what I'm talking about. Goes good with this. I see some great potential to this card. Ravenous Intruder, 1 red, 1 colorless, sacrifice an artifact. Ravenous Intruder gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It's just a 1/2 for 2 mana, which is not terrible. The fact that you can make it bigger for a turn is okay, but the sacrificing artifact is what matters because that can trigger revolt. Reckless Racer, 1 red, 2 colorless, a uncommon human pilot, a 2/3 first striker is very good for 3, and when it becomes tapped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card, so you get a sort of loot effect. So not terrible. The Scrapper Champion, 1 red, 3 colorless, an uncommon human artificer, a 2/2 with double strike. We've already said is pretty good, though 4 mana is kind of costly. But when he enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy tokens, and when he attacks, you may pay 2 to put a +1/+1 counter on it. Now that's key right there. It's a counter, so that does not go away. So when you do get to attack with him, he'll be a 3/3 double striker pretty much, which is not anything to sneeze at. This hits for 6 damage, so this guy could be pretty good. All right, Shock, always a good card. 1 mana for 2 damage to target creature or player. Now I kind of would rather play something like man, I'm not kidding when I can't remember cards. There's other cards that you can pay for 1 red to give you, starting off with 2 damage and give you more, but the fact that this hits a player can be really good in a tight game, so don't discount it because of that. There's some cards that can do a little bit more damage, but the fact that this hits player is very important. Siege Modification, 2 red. I mean, remember, this card often becomes a staple in many decks, so there's a reason for that. Siege Modification, 2 red, 1 colorless, uncommon aura, enchant creature or vehicle. As long as enchanted permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other types. It gets +3/+0 and has first strike, so it works good in pretty much anything, even non-vehicles. I kind of would even put it not on a vehicle because I kind of don't want my vehicles to be creatures all the time. So although that does mean you don't have to activate them, so it is interesting. Sweatworks Brawler, 1 red, 3 colorless. It's a uncommon human artificer for 3 mana with improvise and has menace. And it could be, I mean, if you can get this guy in play quick, a 3/3 menace can wreak havoc on your opponent. Otherwise, it's just kind of meh. Alright, Wrangle, 1 red, 1 colorless. It's a common sorcery. Gain control of target creature with power 4 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. So another one of these cards, although it does cost only 2 mana, which is very good. I could see this in some aggro decks. I could see this in those aristocrat decks. So this could be a good card in the right deck. We're into green now. Aether Stream. I'm trying to go a little bit faster because this video is going long. Aether Stream Leopard, 1 green 2 colorless. It's a common creature. It's a 2/3 with trample, which is meh, but when it attacks you may pay 1, and it gets +2 +0 until end of turn, so it'll be a 4/3 trampler. Could be good. Could be good in a deck build for on there, but it's just okay. Either Wind Basker, 3 green and 4 colorless. It's a mythic rare lizard. It's a 7/7. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy counter. Pay 1 energy counter. It gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So that's nothing to sneeze at. It doesn't have anything to protect itself, and it is freaking expensive to play. So I'm not too sure about it, but the fact that it's mythic rare seems to tell me that this could be really good. You know, you need a good ramp deck for this though. You need to ramp a lot, but you know, could be interesting. All right, Aether Herder, 1 green 3 colorless. It's an elf artificer, which is important. The fact that it's an elf. It's a 3/3 for 4 mana, which is okay, and it gives you energy when it gets to the battlefield. And when it attacks, you may pay 2 to create a servo token. It's just okay. Seems expensive for what you're getting. 8 from the Cow, 2 green 3 colorless. It's a rare enchantment. Revolt. At the beginning of your end step of a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a permanent card, you may put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. So this is quite powerful, getting free spells every time you lose something. And we've already seen there's many ways to make yourself lose something. This could be a very, very good card. Essentially turns every time you lose something, you're gaining something, so it's good. And we have Druid of the Cow, 1 green 1 colorless. It's a common elf druid. Elf is important, and you can tap it for 1 mana. So overall a good card. 2 mana for 1/3 is a good defensive spell, and then you can tap it for green. So this could be good in a ramp deck. It's very good for a ramp deck actually, because it gives you a good early game blocker, and you know, helps you ramp. So you're gonna see this guy in ramp decks. We have the green belt Rampager, 1 green for a 3/4 elephant, which is crazy. It's a rare. When green belt Rampager enters the battlefield, pay 2 energy. If you can't, return green belt Rampager to its owner's hand, and you get an energy. So even if you can't pay the energy, you will get energy for this. So you gain an. At worst, you pay a mana to gain an energy. Not bad. When you can pay the energy, you get a 3/4 for cheap. Very good card, and it's very easy to get that energy, as we've seen. So a 3/4 trampler very early in the game, yes please. 1 green, the Green Wheel Liberator, 1 green 1 colorless. It's a 2/1 rare elf warrior. It has Revolt. When it enters the battlefield, if you get the Revolt, it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it if you lost a permanent this turn. So it will come into play as a 4/3, which is great. And we've seen that there's ways to double those counters. So this could be very, very good. I like what I see there. And it is an elf, which is important. High Spirit Infusion, 1 green 1 colorless. It's a common instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn, and you get 2 energy counters. We've seen a card like this before. 3/3 +3/+3 for 2 mana is very good. The fact that you get energy with it is a bonus. Overall, a decent card, not bad at all. Lifecrafter's Gift, 1 green 3 colors. It's a uncommon instant. Put a +1/+1 on counter on target creature, then put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Well, we've seen many times many creatures that can come into play with counters or add counters. So this one basically just adds more counters. So in the right deck, in a deck build around +1/+1 counters, this could be very, very good. Okay. Lifecraft Cavalry, 1 green 4 colorless. It's a 4/4 trampler, which is just okay for 5 mana, but it does have Revolt. Enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, so it could possibly be a 6/6, which Revolt is kind of easier to trigger. So a 6/6 trampler for 5 mana is good. So I think this is interesting. Monstrous Onslaught, 2 green and 3 colorless. It's an uncommon sorcery. It deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you cast Monstrous Onslaught. So if you have a creature with 5, your highest power creature is 5. You have a 5/5 or something. You play this and you get to do 5 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, including your own, right? Where X is the great, yeah, including your own, thereby possibly triggering Revolt. So it's kind of good. I mean, it's very good. It's a removal spell for green, so it's good. I like it. It's expensive, but interesting. 1 green, Narnam Renegade. It's an uncommon elf warrior. It's a 1/2 with Death Touch, which is rare in green. Well, not rare, but it's, you know, not, you don't see that very often. And it does have Revolt. Narnam Renegade enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn. Ooh, so it could possibly be a 2/3 Death Toucher. And then if you can add more counters, can get better and better. So it's great for its cost. Pima, the Aether Seer, 1 green, 3 colorless. It's a uncommon elf druid. It's a 3/2, which is not that great, but when she enters the battlefield, you get an amount of energy equal to the greatest power among creatures you control, and then pay 3. Target creature blocks this turn if able. So, the forcing a creature to block something is important. You get a 3/2 creature. I mean, it's interesting, but I don't know. I'm not super enthused by it, but it is interesting. Rich Scale Tusker, 2 green, 3 colorless, an uncommon beast. When Rich Scale Tusker enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. There we go. More ways to get counters. And it is a 5/5 for 5 mana. Not bad at all. You get more counters. So, you know, it's good. And I'm recording this while I'm tired, so Rishkar's Expertise, 2 green, 4 colorless. It's a rare sorcery. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Alright, very expensive spell, but the card draw and be able to get a free, and it basically replaces itself, is very useful, especially in green. So I really like this card. Obviously you're not going to use a lot of them, maybe even just a one-off in your deck, but it is pretty interesting. The Scrounging Bandar, 1 green, 1 colorless. It's a cat monkey, which it's a 0/0. Enters the battlefield with 2 1/1 counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of +1/+ counters from Scrounging Bandar onto another target creature, so you can move his counters along, or keep giving him counters and then spread those counters among your other creatures. Something like that. Yeah, it's interesting. All right. Silk Weaver Elite, 1 green, 2 colorless. It's a 2/2 elf archer. Elf is important, reach is important, and it has Revolt. When it enters the battlefield, permanent control left the battlefield this turn, draw a card. The draw a card is kind of weird, but it's interesting. So a 2/2 with reach is not super relevant, but the Revolt could be useful. If you get the Revolt, it pays for itself, so that's good, right? Okay, now we have Unbridled Growth. It's 1 green. It's a common enchant or enchant land. Enchanted land has tap this at 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Sacrifice it to draw a card. Normally I would say this is just okay. This is actually really good. You got some mana fixing, and then later in the game sacrifices to draw a card, and the act of sacrificing it will trigger Revolt, so gets a lot of bonuses. So I think it's worth using. Spire Patrol, it's 1 blue. We're into the gold cards now. 1 blue, 1 white, 2 colors, a uncommon Human Soldier. It's a 3/2 with flying. When Spire Patrol enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during the controller's next untap step. Kind of expensive for what you're getting. I had to drink something there for a moment, but 4 mana for a 3/2 flyer is just okay, but that tapping the creature can come at a key time. So I can see this in those colors. In a blue-white control deck, this could probably be a lifesaver. We have Hidden Stockpile, 1 black, 1 white. It's a uncommon enchantment. Revolt at the beginning of your end step. If a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, create a 1/1 color servo token, and then you can sacrifice a creature to scry 1. So I don't see any downsides to this. You put this, and then for the rest of your turn, if you had lost a permanent, you will get a 1/1 creature. So you get something, and then you can sacrifice creatures to scry. So it's a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. So I like this card a lot. All right. Renegade Wheelsmith, 1 white, 1 red, 1 colorless. It's an uncommon dwarf pilot. Dwarf is important. It's a 3/2 for 3 mana, which is not bad. When it becomes tapped, target creature can't block this turn. That is interesting. So I do like this guy. This guy is very, very offensive, and the fact that you can tap down, or rather force something to not be able to block that can kill it, is quite useful. Although later in the game, I think he kind of runs out of usefulness in the late game. Alright, Ajani Unyielding. I've been waiting for Ajani. Where has he been? 1 white, 1 green, 4 colors. So this guy's got to be good. He's a mythic rare planeswalker. He starts with 4 loyalty. His uptick, his first ability is a +2, which is awesome. Review the top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanent cards revealed this way into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. Well, since you're playing them late into the game, you probably don't need the lands. So yeah, you're gonna get some cards. So good by itself, and +2 makes him hard to get his loyalty down. Then you can do -2, exile target creature, period. And then its controller gains life equal to its power. So what? You exile target creature. That is great for only -2. They gain life, but that's never mind. Exile target creature, very, very good itself. And then his ultimate is a -9. Put 5 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, and 5 loyalty counters on each other planeswalker you control. So yeah, this guy could go crazy on Super Friends. Oh my god, this guy's built for Super Friends. And it takes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 3 turns, and you can ultimate and benefit everybody. This guy is crazy. I mean, and then his cost is high, but since you're already playing green, it should be easy to ramp to him. So there you go. Oath of Ajani, 1 white and 1 green. It's a rare legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Planeswalker spells you cast cost 1 less to control. Well, there you go. So that already helps to cast him. There goes some ramp, and we already seen this theme of +1/+1 counter, so that can get out of hand. That's a good oath. I like it. All right, Renegade Rallier, 1 white, 1 green, 1 colorless. It's a human warrior. It's a 3/2, not bad for the cost. Revolt, when Renegade Rallier enters the battlefield, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, return target permanent card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you get to trigger the Revolt, which is when you want to play him, you get a card back. You replace this guy. Quite good. Quite good. It's an instant replace. It gets it to the battlefield. I like this card a lot, and we're already seeing other cards in that color that can be quite good. Dark Intimations, 1 black, 1 red, 1 blue, 2 colorless. It's a rare sorcery. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Wow. Then discards a card. Wow. You return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Wow. Then draw a card. Wow. When you cast a Bolas planeswalker spell, exile Dark Intimations from your graveyard. That planeswalker enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. So 5 mana of specific colors, and you do a lot of things. This is quite powerful, but we've seen 3 color decks being built quite easily, so this mana cost is probably not that tough to get. 5 mana to get all of this stuff seems quite good, and I can't wait to see who this Bolus is, or what's he got. Tezzeret's Touch, 1 black, 1 blue, 1 colorless. It's a uncommon enchant artifact. Enchanted artifact is a creature with base power and toughness 5/5 in addition to its other types. When enchanted artifact is put into a graveyard, return that card to its owner's hand. So wow. Put this on an artifact, make it into a creature. If it goes away, which may trigger revolt, you get that card back. You lose this enchantment, but you get that card back. I like this. Man, you put a 2-cost artifact in play on turn 2, play this on turn 3. Now you have a 5/5 that is gonna be, you know, well, not hard to get rid of. It'll probably be kind of hard to get rid of, but even if you get rid of it, you still get the base artifact back. So I like that card a lot. Tezzeret the Schemer, 1 black, 1 blue, 2 colorless. Colors I like. To Mythic Rare Planeswalker, he starts with 5 loyalty, which is good. +1. Create a colorless artifact token named Ethereum Cell with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Ooh, so that is some kind of ramp right there. Also, sacrificing the artifact can trigger revolt. His -2 is target creature gets +X/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control, which you're already creating artifacts, so that could possibly be very good. You can pump something up really high or kill something outright. And then his ultimate -7 is you get an emblem with at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5, just like that spell we saw earlier. But let's see, at the beginning of combat on your turn, target artifact control becomes an artifact creature base power. Yeah, I don't think that effect goes away, so each turn you're gonna turn one of your artifacts into something horrible. So interesting guy. We have a Maverick Thopterist, 1 red, 1 blue, 3 colorless. It's a human artificer with improvise. It's a 2/2. When he enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colors, stop the artifact creature tokens with flying. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's got lots of implications. The fact that it's a human, it creates creatures, their artifacts can be useful. I'm just not super wild, but I bet there's probably a lot of usefulness there. Rogue Refiner, 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless. It's a uncommon human rogue. It's a 3/2. When he enters the battlefield, draw a card and you get 2 energy. So it replaces itself. A 3/2 that replaces itself, plus give you energy. You can't hate that. So that's pretty good. World Fast Engineer, 1 red, 1 black, 1 colorless. It's a uncommon human artificer. It's a 3/3 for 3 mana, which is not bad. And at the beginning of your combat on your turn, target artifact creature you control gets +2 until end of turn. So you can play this guy, use him to pilot an artifact, and then that artifact can get a bonus. So this guy could be very good in a artifact and a vehicles deck. So Winding Constrictor, 1 green, 1 black, 2 mana for a 2/3 isn't terrible, especially in those colors. If one or more creatures would be placed, or counters would be, if one or more counters would be placed on an artifact or creature you control, that many of those counters +1 are placed on that permanent instead. If you get 1 or more counters, you may get that many. That many of those counters +1 instead. So again, another way to increase counters. I want to see a counters deck with all this. That could be really redonkulous. Outland Boar, 1 green, 1 red, 2 colorless. It's a uncommon boar. It's a 4/4 for 4 mana, which is not bad. It can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so they can't chump block it. I like this guy. He's interesting. Wish he had haste, but that's okay. Alright, we're into the artifacts. Aether Sphere Harvester, 3 colorless. It's a rare artifact vehicle. It's a 3/5 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Not bad. Pay an energy counter. It gains lifelink until end of turn, and it only takes 1 to crew this. So that is quite useful, especially since, you know, after you play it, your opponent will go. You can still use it as a blocker, and it's cheap to. Oh man, this is good. And it's lifelink. I like this. I think you're gonna see any cheap to play. Oh man, I like this vehicle. I think you're gonna see this a lot. Barricade Breaker, 7 colorless. It's a juggernaut. It's an uncommon. It's a 7/5 with improvise. Barricade Breaker attacks each combat if able. So it's basically a bigger regular juggernaut. With improvise, you can play this kind of early in the game. I mean, this guy could hit. He could hit play, you know, in turn 4, like the regular juggernaut, and be pretty big. Yeah, this guy. I like this guy. I mean, he's just an artifact, so you can still destroy him, but man, seems interesting. Alright, Cogwork Assembler, 3 colorless. It's an assembly worker. It's a 2/3, and you pay 7. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact. That token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. So, make a copy of maybe this guy, although it goes away and it costs a lot, but I mean, that could be really interesting. The fact that it exiles can trigger revolt, so that could be very good. Alright, Consulate Dreadnought, 1 mana for 7/11. Is that a joke? 7/11, and it takes a crew of 6. I guess it's good. I mean, 6 is not that hard to get, just 3 2/2s or something like that. I think this has some potential. All right, Consulate Turret, 3 colorless artifact. You tap it to gain an energy, and you pay 3 and tap it. It deals 2 damage to target player. Well, I'm not too crazy about the target player, but tapping this every turn to get an energy counter can be good. As we've seen, energy counters can be so useful when abused. Daredevil Dragster, 3 colorless. It's a 4/4 vehicle, not bad. At end of combat, if Daredevil Dragster attacked or blocked this combat, put a velocity counter on it. Then if it has 2 or more velocity counters on it, sacrifice it and draw 2 cards. So it will destroy itself, but you draw 2 cards, and then the fact that it sacrifices is gonna give you revolt, and it costs only 2 to pilot this. So good card. I think you're gonna see this get some play. Filigree Crawler, 4 colorless. It's an insect. It's a common. It's a 2/2. When it dies, create a 1/1 colorless artifact doctor creature token with flying. Ooh. Okay, it costs 4, which puts it a little bit out of what I think is useful. But the fact that it dies and gives you another creature can be useful in revolt decks and other things. So this could be really good. I'm just not crazy about the 4 mana. If it was 3, it'd be crazy. So I guess I see why it's at 4. Foundry Assembler, 5 mana with improvise for a 3/3. Pass. Alright, Heart of Kirin, a 2 cost legendary artifact creature. It's a mythic rare. It's a 4/4 for 2 mana. It's a flying vigilance, and it has a crew of 3. And you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay the Heart of Kirin's crew cost. Ooh. So one of your planeswalkers can pilot this. That's interesting. A 4/4 flying vigilance. It's interesting. Definitely interesting. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't see too many downsides to it. Implement of Combustion, 1 mana, and pay a red. Sacrifice Implement destroy Combustion. It deals 1 damage to target player. When Implement of Combustion is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Oh my god, this is all right. The 1 damage to target player is meh, but it draws you a card. But that's not the important part. The important part is it triggers revolt. So I could see this in some kind of revolt aggro deck, because it's cheap to play, cheap to sacrifice. Yeah, this could be interesting. Implement of Examination, 3 colorless. Sacrifice Implement of Examination, draw a card. When Implement of Examination is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Okay, so essentially you're gonna get 2 cards, but it's overall gonna cost you 4 mana, but you can split it between turns. So it's interesting. And you know, if your opponent does you the favor of killing it, destroying it, you still get to draw a card. So it's useful. It's useful, especially if you combine it with the stuff that that one spell that makes it a 5/5, and then if they kill it, it comes back to your hand. You'll get the effect of when it goes to your graveyard and then it comes back to your hand. So interesting. Implement of Ferocity, 1 colorless. It's a green. Sacrifice Implement of Ferocity. Put a +1/+1 on target creature. Only do this as a sorcery, and you get a draw card when it goes away. Well, we've seen +1/+1 counters can get crazy out of hand in this set, so I think this could be a really good card. Implement of Improvement, 1 colorless, white. Sacrifice Implement of Improvement, you gain 2 life, and it will get you a card when it goes to the graveyard. So that one's just okay. I like the other ones much better. Implement of Malice, 2 colorless. Sacrifice it with a black, and target player discards a card. Do this only as a sorcery, and then when it's put into battlefield, you draw a card. So some decent card advantage there, and it's not too expensive to use. Iron Tread Crusher, 4. I mean, this gives more abilities to make some discard decks, that's for sure. Iron Tread Crusher, 4 colorless. It's a common artifact creature. It's a 6/6 with a crew of 3. Well, not that super great, but the crew of 3 gives you a big 6/6, which is nothing to sneeze at. So vehicles alone are just quite powerful, so that's not terrible. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, 3 colors. It's a rare artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get a free scry 1, and this is during your upkeep, which is good right before you draw. And then the fact that it happens during your upkeep means, I think it might mean that in Magic Duels you'll be able to respond to the trigger of this, although your opponent can too, so you gotta be careful. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay a green. If you do, draw a card. Oh shit, oh shit, this is great for green. Some card draw from green? Yes, please. Yes, please. Plus the free scry. It's wonderful. Merchant's Dockhand, 1 colorless. It's a rare construct artifact creature. It's a 1/2, but for 1 blue and 3 colors, you can tap it. Tap X untapped artifact you control. Look at the top X cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So essentially, you tap out, and you can get something from your deck or from the top of your deck. Seems okay. I don't know. It's just okay. I mean, it's a rare, so I'm sure there's a lot of usefulness to this, but I'm just not blown away. But prove me wrong. Mobile Garrison, 3 colorless. It's a rare common artifact vehicle. It's a 3/4. When it attacks, untap another target artifact or creature you control, and it only takes a crew of 2 to use. Meh, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, could be useful in a control deck, but I don't know. I don't know. Although the thing that you see, you crew this with something, and then you can untap it with this, so it could be useful. It could be useful. It could potentially make its crew almost free in a way, so that's interesting. Night Market Guard, a 3 colorless construct. It's a 3/1. Night Market Guard can block an additional creature each combat. That is useful. I can see this in control decks with its 3 colorless. Makes it much easier to control, and it can block up to 2 things. So yeah, I kind of like this for control decks. Peace Walker Colossus. I mean, and then it's 3 power. If your opponent doesn't have any blockers, man, go ahead, swing. So interesting. Peace Walker Colossus, a 3 colorless rare vehicle. It's a 6/6. You can pay a white and a 1, and another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. So it crews something else for free, but it takes a crew of 4 to activate this. But I think that's worth it to make another one of your artifact creatures be able to attack that turn, and it's a 6/6. So and you can do maybe multiple vehicles, so this guy can be pretty nice. Planner Bridge, 6 cost legendary artifact, and it's a mythic rare. Pay 8 mana, tap it, search your library for a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Well, I'm always a fan of cards that let you get cards into play for free, although this is very, very mana intensive. But you can put it in a ramp deck, and we've seen cards already that can get you cards back, or you know, prevent them from being destroyed, all kinds of stuff. So this could be very good, though expensive. Renegade map, 1 colorless. It's a common artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. You tap it and sacrifice it. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. I like this card. This gives some mana ramping sort of to non-green decks. So that is a thing. It's kind of slow, but still useful, I think. So I kind of like it. And the fact that you sacrifice it, again, remember, revolt, so that's good. Reservoir Walker, 5 colorless for a 3/3 creature, and it enters the battlefield. You gain 3 life and get 3 energy counters. Not super enthused by that. Move on. Scrap Trawler, 3 colorless. It's a rare construct. It's a 3/2. Whenever Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Wait, I lost my train of thought as I was reading it. When the Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser converted mana cost. Okay, so one of your things goes to the graveyard, you get something back that's a little bit weaker. Not bad at all, especially if it's a 3 cost 3/2, which is not bad at all. And then the fact that it's got an ongoing effect that can get you cards back can be quite useful, especially with those 1 cost sacrifice cards. This guy could be kind of interesting. You know, you have them in your graveyard and then you get them back when you lose something else. It's interesting. Servo Schematic, 2 colorless. It's an iPad. All right, 2 colorless. When Servo Schematic enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Until you play this, get a 1/1, and then when you sacrifice it, because I'm sure there'll be a way, it gives you another 1/1. It's okay. It's okay. You need some sacrifice outlets, but we've seen plenty of ways to sacrifice artifacts, so probably fine. Treasure Keeper, 4 colors, artifact creature construct. It's a 3/3 uncommon. When it dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an online card with converted mana cost 3 or less. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all reveal cards not cast this way at the bottom of your library in random order. So 4 mana for 3/3 is not bad, and when it dies, it replaces itself, plus possibly triggering revolt and many other things. So this guy could be good in the right deck. Universal Solvent, 1 colorless. Pay 7 and sacrifice this and tap it. Destroy target permanent. I would say this is too costly for what you're getting, but the sacrificing a permanent, you know, is important because of the revolt. So that could be interesting, but 7 mana is very, very intensive. Untethered Express, 4 mana for uncommon artifact creature. It's a 4/4 trampler. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it only takes a crew of 1. Ew. So this guy gets bigger and bigger. So crew of 1, you attack for 5 with it. So play it on turn 4. Turn 5, you're attacking with a 5/5. Yes, I think that's decent. Walking Ballista, it's a XXXX. It's a rare creature. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. And then you can pay for it to put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista. It deals 1 damage to target creature. And then we've seen there's ways to add more counters to creatures. So this guy could get crazy out of hand pretty quickly. And it looks like that's it. We've reached the end of all the Aether Revolt cards, so that's it. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Aether Revolt cards. Which ones did I say that I thought were nice, and which ones did you think were kind of like just okay, or you know, or they're just terrible? I definitely want to hear from you. Go down into the comment section and let me know. And real quick before we finish off, let's go take a look at some of the new items. Well, nothing new in the full art lands. It's just what you have before. There are a few new card sleeves. We have now Aether Revolt card sleeves, Tezzeret, the Malphus Revolutionary, Ajani, Herald of Anguish, the Planner Bridge, and we also have that was those, and then we also have some premium sleeves. I already have the Black Lotus. We can get the Harmless Offering, which is cute. And then there was something else. Oh, personas. We can now get some legends. So we can get Sahili Rai, Tezzeret, Emrakul, Arlen Cord. I don't know why Arlen Cord for some reason, but I like that we can get Avacyn. So yes, I want to see her being played, or you know, I want to use her as avatar. And then we got the regular Planeswalkers: Gideon, Jace, Liliana, Chandra, and Nissa. So awesome, awesome, awesome. I like that, and that is, as far as I know, all the new stuff in Aether Revolt. So it's been a long video, but I hope you enjoyed this, and I definitely want to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on my next Friday night Magic Duels. See you soon.